Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. I wanted to shoot a quick video today about a concept that I often talk about with customers of mine regarding enclosure size and how that relates to the exercise and the health and the mental stimulation of your reptile. Now, reptile is a gigantic group of animals with vastly different metabolisms, metabolic, just energy output, behaviors, lifestyles, etc. So I'm gonna zoom in on the ball python because that's what we have the most of, that's what we sell the most of, and they're just so popular in the pet trade. So what we're looking at here, I'm gonna back up as much as I can. This is a 6 foot long, 4 foot tall, 2 foot deep enclosure, okay? Decked out with branches and plants and all that stuff. And no reptile currently lives in this enclosure. We have UV, basking spots, hides, live substrate with, moss, live plants, springtails. We're going to get isopods in there, but no reptile lives in here currently. We have gotten in the habit of, when we're doing a snake check, which is just what we call spot cleaning, we always put snakes in this cage because it's empty right now. And it's a good chance for them to exercise and explore. And I think that is extremely important. And I want to talk about why. As most of you know, most of my ball pythons live in a rack system currently. It may not always be that way. I intend for it to not always be that way, but that's how they live right now, okay? So, while they are a lower metabolism, low activity species, that does not mean no metabolism and no activity. And something I am always telling to people when they ask me, what size enclosure should I get? What size enclosure should I get? I ask them, well, how seriously are you going to take getting your animal exercise and mental stimulation? Those can be two different things, although they often come together. Because if your animal, if your ball python lives in an enclosure like this, I'm going to open this window here. It probably has very little need for you to get it out all the time and give it stimulation. Especially if every once in a while you change branches, you change decorations, you move things around so that it can, every month or two, there's new things for it to smell, new places for it to explore, etc. This is a ton of space. This is a ton of interesting things. And every snake we put in here just loves it. They go all around. Ball pythons have this reputation of a pet rock that just wants to curl up in a ball and never move. And I'm like, well, you know what? When you live in a tiny tub on a rack system, there's nowhere for you to go. Of course, you're going to curl up and do nothing. But when we put them in here, they go all over the place. A lot of exercise and a lot of mental stimulation. So I'm always telling people, look, if this is the kind of enclosure you have, the requirement on you to be pulling them out, maybe get them swimming in water every once in a while, get them climbing, make sure you handle them regularly, that requirement goes way down. If you're keeping them in a rack system like I do, the requirement goes way up. So I am not fully against rack systems. Obviously, I have them. What I am against is keeping ball pythons or anything else in a rack system. And full disclosure, most species I just straight up wouldn't keep in a rack system. But something very, slow mover, low metabolism, etc., I'm okay with it. Especially these ambush predators that even in the wild are known to find a little nook and just sit there waiting for sometimes weeks at a time without moving a lot. I'm ethically okay with a rack system for a ball python if every single snake gets to come out fairly regularly. They still need exercise and they still have mental needs. And I'm not a snake whisperer. I don't know exactly what those needs are. So to me, that just means I need to go above and beyond to make sure that I'm meeting those needs, right? So again, when you're planning your enclosure and you're asking, the breeder or wherever you're getting your snake, what size enclosure does this snake need? That depends on you and your lifestyle and what you intend to do with your snake. If it's a pet that is beloved and you know that you're responsible and you're going to hold it all the time, you're going to get it out, you're going to play with it, it's going to get to explore, then the enclosure doesn't have to be this giant thing like this, right? It doesn't have to be. But if you know that this is more of a display animal, this is a snake that's not going to come out that often. I'm going to take good care of it. I'll make sure it's clean, always fresh water, fed well, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to hold it all that much. Well, then you need to get a larger enclosure with a little bit more interesting things in there because the snake needs it. That is my opinion. I am welcome of other opinions. I know that doesn't make other breeders feel good whose snakes sit in a rack system and never get to come out. I'm sorry. That's just what I believe, and so that's what I'm telling people. Doesn't mean I'm going to judge people who do it differently than me, but I've been asked so many times, I figured I'd make a video about it. So again, this is not a video intended to bash on anybody. But if I'm asked, I'm going to be honest. And I think that they need more than to just sit in a small Sterilite tub or a Freedom Breeder tub their entire life, where the only highlight of their life is getting pulled out to breed or getting fed. I think that they genuinely need some exercise that they cannot get in a rack system. So, that being said, I don't think that this enclosure is necessary. This is overkill. This is going to be a tree monitor enclosure, not a ball python enclosure. But it's a very convenient exercise spot. And every day that we're doing snake check, we cycle 10, 15 minutes each snake. So every snake gets a chance in the rotation. And I think they love it, personally. And they look beautiful, with that full spectrum lighting that they obviously don't get in a rack system. They look happy. They're not good climbers. That's the only disclaimer that I would definitely put out there. So we kind of keep an eye on them because if they go all the way up to the top, they can fall. So we got to be careful of that. I hear all the time, this might be a subject for another video, people talking about how ball pythons are arboreal or semi-arboreal. Well, no, they're not. I just, I'm not even going to get into a debate about that. They're not. They're straight up not. The fact that they have been found in trees before does not make them arboreal, because if it did, then humans are arboreal because we've been found in trees. But we're also aquatic because we've been found in water. But we're also fossorial because we've been found underground. It doesn't make any sense, the argument, to me. Regardless, I'm going off on tangents here. The main point was supposed to be about enclosure size and mental stimulation and exercise. And I hope that I've made that point. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.